The Purdue spring game. It was this Saturday. If you're listening to this on the podcast, this is being added into the podcast with Chris from the Boiler Express podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, this is a standalone episode, and we thank you for watching. We're going to talk the Purdue spring game with Chris from the Boiler Express podcast. We got Zack here as well to talk through all of it. Chris, let's get down to business. All right. So
All right.
first thing everybody wants to talk about, right?
Mhm.
The quarterbacks. All
Yep.
right. Hudson Card, obviously the starter coming into the season.
Mhm.
However, there was a freshman quarterback that, if people didn't watch the game, who
Yeah.
really showed out and did a very good job. So why don't you give us a little bit of info on how Card did and how the freshman quarterback did as well?
So I think Card looked 100 times better than he did at any point during the regular season last year. He just looked more confident, more capable in the system. He trusts his line a little bit more, and it seemed like he got more on sync with his wide receivers. He just looked like he was doing more reacting to what he saw instead of thinking about what he was doing, if that makes sense. And then I think what kind of surprised a lot of people is with the second team offense, you saw Davila come in, and kid's been on campus 4 months, and he was like moving guys around, adjusting players, like getting wide receivers in the right spot, like doing things that a 4-month freshman probably shouldn't be able to do. I think at this point, he's probably got that second spot locked up, or at least he's got enough confidence from the coaching staff to stick him in that second quarterback spot. I would guess to think that if push came to shove, Ryan Brown probably would play over him in the season if they needed a backup wide receiver or backup quarterback, sorry, to take snaps, just because, we haven't had, I'm still recovering from the 8 quarterbacks we went through one season. But honestly, Davila throws a really good ball. He's got crazy ability. His pocket presence is very good. He was able to really feel pressure in a spring game atmosphere and roll out of the pocket and do what he needs to. And he's got a cannon on him. He can drop it in a bucket. He had a couple really good throws.
Well, that's just on brand for Purdue to just find a quarterback that comes in and just does an excellent job. So
From state of Texas.
Right, that sounds like Purdue football to me.
Right.
Texas.
Yeah.
Wasn't Card from
Yeah.
Texas, but
Yeah.
from Texas.
Yeah, he is from Texas as well, yeah.
All right, there we go. New pipeline state for Purdue, the Texas quarterbacks. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Zack, do you have any questions for Chris?
Yeah, you talked a lot about Hudson Card looking comfortable. What are your expectations for him going into year 2?
I think you're going to see him grow in terms of pocket pressure. Last year, there was a lot of times it seemed like he didn't trust his offensive line to be able to do what they need to do to keep him upright. And they showed a graphic in that game. I want to say in Purdue's losses, there's like a total of 13 or 16 sacks compared to 4 in their wins. And I think keeping him upright, he's got the natural intangibles to play the game and to be able to throw the ball, put the ball wherever he wants. And when you see him with a clean pocket, able to stand up, throw the ball, it's great. The part that I want to see him do is be able to not trust throwing the ball as much. Okay, that sounds kind of weird. Trust throwing the ball when he needs to, but he has the athleticism to be able to run the football. And I feel like last year we just didn't see that a lot. And it seems like as a coaching staff, we're putting more of an onus on running the ball and running some of those read options and doing some of the stuff that is to his skill set. He was the number 2 dual threat quarterback in the 2020 class, I think, or 2021 class, something like that. And the kid's a stud. I think it's new coach, his first year in the system, everybody's first year on campus. I think that first year was just trying to grease the wheels a little bit, and now it's going to kind of take off.
Yeah. Just one more question off that. You mentioned the offensive line. What was your feel of the offensive line in this? Obviously, it's a spring game, but what's your feel on the offensive line?
I feel like the offensive line was tremendous compared to last year, and I don't even think that everybody was healthy for the spring game this year, which is even more exciting for the offensive line. Again, getting to be able to run the ball. When Purdue was really successful, they didn't turn the ball over through the air, and they were able to run the ball. And I think that obviously that all starts with the offensive line, and they looked light years better than they did. I mean, there were times like sacks would be called, but it's because it's those touch sacks or whatever. But like those were ones that definitely Card is able to get out of and able to chuck that ball around. So I think it was really encouraging seeing how they did.
Yeah, the offensive line definitely looked better in my opinion. Of course, last season, seemed like a new guy got hurt every single week.
Yeah,
so
it was a mash unit.
Yeah, it's only so good. You can only do so well when you have that many guys hurt. But the defense for me, Chris. Let's switch on over to that. Talk to a good amount of offense here. Kydran Jenkins. He was not in the same spot that he was in last year. Of course, him and Nick Scruton. I forget how to say his name. Just sack menaces out there last season. Really good pairing that they had. However, with Kydran moving to the middle linebacker position rather than being out on the edge, are we concerned that might impact some of his sacking that he's going to have, or do we feel like he's a better fit there?
No.
Obviously, the spring game you can evaluate, but just your thoughts overall.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen, I think he's going to be in the middle to be able to make those plays on the ball against the run and do what he needs to. He's going to be more valuable in those like 1 and 2 down situations. But third down, I'm going to be shocked if he doesn't have his hand in the dirt on the edge, if it's a passing down or if it's a passing situation. He's just too good not to do that, but he's also too good to not, because they mentioned the broadcast, and I've said it before, any good defensive end like that, if he's dominant, you're just going to run away from him. Where with him being in the middle, he can follow now a lot easier than he could if he's got his hand in the dirt now. And then once it gets into a passing situation, he just pins his ears back and goes nuts.
That's fantastic. I was a big fan of Kydran Jenkins last year and everything he was able to do. So if that is the plan, just to get him in more of a space so that he's able to be impactful in every play. And I think his size fits better personally in the middle rather than on the outside as well. It seemed like he was a little undersized out there, so moving him to the middle and back away from the line a little bit seems to be helpful there. Zach, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I mean, I know they were touch sacks, but it looks like there were 3 other sacks in the game besides the one that Jenkins registered. Talk a little bit about the guys taking the places of Scourton and Jenkins.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to look his name up because I wanted to mention him. I can't remember it, but he's the D3 college player from Franklin College. I'm going to have...
Ojada.
Yes. Yep, I just popped up. Yeah, Ojada. He looked really good. Like, he really played the part. And I think he is a lean, long, really big player that I think a lot of people are going to kind of overlook, and they probably shouldn't. He did really well. There's a lot of other guys who just kind of filled in that backside. Again, it's a spring game, so it's hard to really tell. But there was a lot of promising guys from that position that look like they can do some good things from that.
Very cool.
Very good. Got anything else, Zach?
This is just a curiosity question. Yanni Karlaftis, I'm assuming that is the brother of George.
Yes. Yep, it's his younger brother, committed 2 years after George did. Went to West Lafayette High School, played linebacker and strong safety at Westside.
Any thought to him being kind of the heir apparent in terms of the pedigree, the talent, or do you think that's probably still a ways away for him?
I think what didn't do him any favors is that he was stacked into a really deep linebacker room that really didn't give him the opportunity to see the field right away like George did. Because obviously you get those live snaps in D1 football, you learn quick. But I think the opportunity is there. He's just going to do his full 4 or 5 years at Purdue, but I think he's got the NFL talent to do it. He's long, he's rangy, and we've started to see his IQ match up to his abilities in terms of being able to read plays, break things down, and kind of get guys in the right spot.
Good stuff.
Chris, I didn't tell you I was going to ask about these guys, but I just remembered what we were talking about. Nyland Green.
Oh God. Don't get me started.
Georgia, and also CJ Madden also came over from Georgia. I think those were the only two.
CJ Madden, Nyland Green, and Nylon Morissetti, and CJ Smith.
Yes. So, I mean,
trust me, I'm excited.
Tell me about your excitement. Obviously, Georgia, one of the best factories for producing football players for other teams right now with the transfer portal the way it is. Not only is it one of the best states for recruits, but it's also one of the best to give out some players. How did they look? Your thoughts?
I think Nyland Green and CJ Madden both looked really impressive to me. Nyland Green's just a really big, long dude. I mean, it was a 5-star prospect, had every offer under the sun. I think he's going to do, and he kind of fits a stereotypical prototype for a Walters defense. He's real long, real physical, not afraid to get into hitting people. I think he's going to do really well. And CJ Madden just kind of has a dog in him. He's got that capability. He's got a high motor. He reminds me a lot of Karlaftis in that, like, just go, or Ryan Kerrigan, I think, is a lot of a better combination where it's go until the whistle. And if he doesn't hear a whistle, somebody's going to have a bad day. But no, I think those two guys, when Nyland got committed to Purdue, I was through the roof. I blew up my guys' BXP chat because I was like, I'm so excited that we have this dude because and honestly, all four of them, because they've got championship rings. They know what it's like they know what the work needs to be done to get to national titles and what you need to do and how you need to act. And I think that's invaluable experience to have. And that same goes for CJ Smith and Morissetti. I think those two are going to be studs in the wide receiver room, along with like the 82 other wide receivers that are in there.
Well, I know you lost Sheffield in the portal, so that was a concern. But I know seeing these Georgia guys coming in, and Georgia's not known for the best wide receiver room in the world, but like you said, like they come.
Yeah, there's just something to be said about knowing what you need to do to get big wins.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Precisely. So, Zach, anything else?
Well, this might be shifting the conversation. So there's a lot of excitement. And I think there should be. I'm curious because the schedule, you look at 2024, it is not a typical West schedule. Obviously, we're doing away with divisions, but you've got Notre Dame in the non-conference, and then you host Oregon, you host Ohio State. Or no, you go to Ohio State and you host Penn State. Yeah. That's potentially 4 top 10 teams. Yeah. Plus Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Oregon State. Yeah. Like, this is a tough road. How do you put that schedule into context with what you saw this past Saturday? I think a lot of what it is at this point, so it's incremental, right? Like year one, you just want to make sure that like you understand what you're supposed to do for the team. You're running the right plays, you're in the right positions. Now I want, like, my goal is, and I kind of put this under the same way for Braum, was like, win the games you're supposed to win, compete in the games you're not supposed to win, and win the toss-ups. That's kind of where I'm at now. The Indiana State game, we should win by a mile. In theory, I've been at Purdue's games where but like Notre Dame, that's at Ross-Ade. That's going to be a dogfight, and we always play them really tough at home. Oregon State, the only thing I'm really worried about that is because we have to go there, and I hate time change. Nebraska's up in the air. Wisconsin's, I still kind of, Illinois, whatever. And then that gauntlet of Oregon, Northwestern, Ohio State, and Penn State. Honestly, one of those, like, luckily we get Oregon and Penn State at home. So we can at least, if we can, by some stroke of black magic, get one of those 2 home games as a win, plus beat Northwestern and then lose the other 2. I mean, we're set up pretty good going down the stretch, because then it's Michigan State and IU to finish out the season. So it's just, it's back to the same thing, kind of like we did when Painter went through his struggles in basketball. Like, you just have to trust the process. And sometimes when you schedule really hard schedules, it's going to be tough, but in 2 years, those
those problems and difficulties of those tough schedules usually rear their head because they're like, okay, we've been through this before, we know what's going on, and it's just second year, just everybody has to pump the brakes. You know what I mean? Like that's a frustrating thing. I know you guys see it from your fan base is like relax. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? You know, we don't have the 1, 2, 3, 4 recruiting classes in the country. We're not going to make a coaching change and not miss a beat, you know? Like if basketball has a coaching change, we probably don't miss a beat. Football, we don't have that luxury right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm excited for Purdue's season this year. I'm gonna be rooting for them like I was in basketball. Obviously, I'll be expecting some different results in basketball than I did football, but it's gonna be an exciting team. This is a team that has some youth in it, so it's not just gonna be a one-hit wonder team this year. Yep. Hudson Card will move on, but like we mentioned, the backup quarterback.
Well, Hudson has 3 years of eligibility.
Does he really? I thought he was a senior.
Nope, he's got 3 years.
Oh, I had it wrong.
When he came to Purdue, because he redshirted his first year at Texas. He played, started that second year, and then Ewers took over, and then until Ewers got hurt against Bama, and then he came to Purdue.
Gotcha.
But yeah, when he got recruited, I was very excited because he had so much time left.
All right, we'll learn something new every day. I learned that Hudson Card has 3 years left. So,
Listen, I'm just grateful that Ohio State is not going to Purdue this year because we know the pain. You know, and everybody's saying, "Oh, Purdue's going to lose those 3 games." Ohio State fans know the pain of going to Ross-Ade as a heavy favorite, and so I'm just saying I'm grateful that they're coming to Columbus this year.
Yeah.
So take out your upset on Penn State.
Yeah. I'm honestly, I would like to, I would like to welcome Oregon to the Big Ten with a big upset.
Yes.
Yeah. I like Oregon. I super respect them. Like we played them close, like 14 years ago when we played them. But I've always enjoyed kind of them, and I've been excited that they came to the conference, and them coming to Ross-Ade for the first time in their first year in the Big Ten is going to be exciting.
That is cool.
Very good. All right. Chris, thank you so much for coming on and doing this recap of the spring game with us. Zach, thanks for being here. If you guys want to check out our full episode from Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, the podcast, whenever you want, check that out. We are also recapping the Ohio State and the Penn State spring game and talking about the news that happened with Michigan today. Chris, why don't you tell people where they can find your podcast app before we get out of here?
So our podcast is everywhere that you can find podcasts. And then we are on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. All those different things. At Boiler Express. We usually go every Tuesday, depending on probably now that we're getting to the off season, we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit. But yeah, if you check out Boiler Express podcast on all your major podcast places and YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you'll be able to find us.
Very good. Appreciate it, Chris.
Yes,
Zach,
sir.
Thank you for being here as always. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks, you too.